Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that every one of us deals with every single day: decision making. From the moment we wake up to the time we go to bed, we are constantly making choices. Some small, some life changing. Yet, many of us struggle with making decisions confidently and wisely. The ability to make good decisions is not a talent we're born with. It's a skill we developed through awareness, reflection, and practice. When we skill to make good decisions, it's something we're born with. It's a skill to make good decisions and made them. During that 3 years, internal reflection and practice, decision making is one of the most fundamental aspects of human life, and it begins the moment we open our eyes in the morning. From deciding what time to get out of bed, what to wear, or what to eat for breakfast, we are constantly engaging in the process of choosing. These small, everyday decisions may seem insignificant on their own, but they shape our routines, habits, and mindset. Over time, these minor choices compound and influence the rhythm of our days and the structure of our lives. Whether we realize it or not, we are constantly exercising our decision-making muscles. And how we approach even the smallest decisions can reflect our sense of discipline, responsibility, and intention. As we grow older, the nature and complexity of the decisions we face change drastically. What used to be simple choices as children, like which toy to play with or what cartoon to watch, evolve into more complex decisions about education, friendships, careers, and personal values. These decisions often carry weighty consequences and require more thought, research, and reflection. A lifelong aspect of decision making means that no matter our age or stage in life, we will always be confronted with new challenges that demand clarity and courage. It is not something we outgrow or master once and for all. Rather, it is an evolving skill that needs to be nurtured and refined continually. Moreover, the idea that decision making is a process underscores that it's not about arriving at instant conclusions. It's a journey that involves identifying the problem, considering possible options, evaluating outcomes, and choosing a course of action. This process may differ depending on the person and the situation, but it always requires some degree of mental engagement and personal judgment. People often assume that good decision makers are simply more confident or lucky, but in reality, they are usually more practiced. They've made enough decisions, faced the consequences, and learned from them, which helps them make better decisions in the future. Another critical aspect to consider is that each decision builds on the ones that came before. There is a continuity to the choices we make. They are not isolated events. A person who consistently makes intentional and wise choices lays down a strong foundation for future decisions. On the other hand, poor or impulsive decisions can create a ripple effect that makes future choices more difficult or restricted. When we start viewing decision making as a lifelong process, we become more mindful of how even our present day actions have the potential to influence our future. Developing a habit of thoughtful, deliberate decision making today can lead to a more fulfilling and balanced life tomorrow. It's important to recognize that not all decisions carry the same level of importance or impact. Some are routine and low stakes, like choosing what to wear or what to eat, and they can be made quickly with little risk. When we treat every decision with the same urgency or pressure, we risk becoming overwhelmed or exhausted. On the other hand, when we learn to categorize decisions based on their impact, we can be more strategic and deliberate in how we approach them. Major decisions often require deeper reflection because they can affect not just our present circumstances, but also our future opportunities and well-being. These are the kinds of choices that may change the trajectory of our lives. For instance, deciding whether to stay in a relationship, move to a new city, or invest in a business are not choices that should be made impulsively. They require us to weigh the risks, consider the long-term effects, and possibly consult with others for guidance. Misjudging the weight of a decision can lead to consequences that are difficult to undo. Therefore, the ability to differentiate between minor and major decisions is a crucial component of wise decision making. Guiding our decisions with values and long-term goals provides a compass that helps us stay true to ourselves. In a world full of distractions and competing opinions, it's easy to be swayed by momentary emotions or external pressures. But when we are grounded in our personal values, such as honesty, growth, compassion, or discipline, we can make choices that reflect who we truly are. Similarly, having a clear vision of our long-term goals allows us to evaluate each decision by asking, does this bring me closer to or further from where I want to be? This kind of clarity enables us to move through life with more purpose and confidence, even when the decisions are difficult. It's especially important to apply this principle when the immediate option may look attractive, but conflicts with our deeper aspirations. For example, accepting a job that offers quick money might seem like a win in the short term, but if it takes us away from our long-term passion or compromises our ethics, it may lead to dissatisfaction later. When our decisions are not aligned with our values or future goals, we often feel an internal sense of conflict or regret. But when they are, even the tough choices feel right because they resonate with our authentic self. Decision-making becomes more meaningful and directed when we choose not just what is easy or popular, but what is right for our future and our integrity. In a fast-paced world where instant gratification is encouraged, people often feel pressure to make decisions quickly, but wise decision-making is rarely rushed. Taking time to pause, reflect, and evaluate a situation thoroughly can mean the difference between a well-thought-out choice and one driven by impulse or emotion. When we rush, we increase the risk of overlooking crucial details, misunderstanding consequences, or acting based on temporary feelings. Time allows us to step back and observe from a broader perspective. It gives our emotions a chance to settle and our minds a chance to process. In this calm space, logic, reason, and intuition have the room to speak more clearly. The truth is, important decisions deserve patience, not panic. A key part of slowing down is asking meaningful, reflective, and practical questions. Before choosing a path, it helps to inquire deeply. What are the possible consequences of this decision? Who will be affected by this, and how? Is this option in line with my goals, values, and priorities? These questions act like a mental compass, guiding us through confusion and ambiguity. They allow us to move beyond surface-level thinking and reach the heart of the matter. Practical questions also involve assessing risk, feasibility, and opportunity. Do I have the resources to pursue this? What support systems are in place? What am I willing to sacrifice, and what do I stand to gain? This approach empowers us to make more informed, grounded choices, rather than falling into traps of assumption or emotional reactivity. In many cases, people avoid making decisions altogether because they fear making the wrong one. But what we often fail to realize is that not deciding is also a decision, a passive one. When we delay or avoid choosing, we allow circumstances or other people to decide for us. Life doesn't wait for us to feel fully ready. Choosing not to act, not to speak up, or not to move forward is still a choice, and it often comes with its own set of consequences. Indecision can lead to missed opportunities, prolonged stress, or a growing sense of helplessness. While waiting may sometimes be wise, habitual avoidance creates a pattern of disempowerment. It's important to recognize that clarity often comes through action, not endless waiting. Avoidance is often fueled by fear. Fear of failure, rejection, judgment, or regret. But making a decision even when it's difficult is a sign of courage and maturity. It shows that you are willing to take responsibility for your life, to be an active participant rather than a passive observer. We must remind ourselves that there is no such thing as a perfect decision. Every path comes with uncertainties, and no one has all the answers. But choosing to move forward based on what we know and believe at the moment is an act of growth. Avoiding decisions in an effort to feel safe often leads to stagnation, while stepping into the discomfort of choice leads to progress and self-discovery. Taking the time to think through a decision is not a sign of weakness or uncertainty, it's a demonstration of wisdom. In a world driven by speed, where rapid replies and immediate action are often glorified, thoughtful decision-making stands out as a strength. Slowing down gives us a chance to look at the full picture. It allows us to gather facts, consider alternative perspective, and even listen to our intuition, which can be drowned out in the noise of urgency. When we rush, we often rely on assumptions, gut reactions, or social pressure. But when we pause, we access the deeper layers of our thinking. This quiet space is where clarity begins to emerge, and where truly meaningful decisions are often found. It's not about delaying action indefinitely, it's about taking enough time to decide with awareness rather than haste. The process of asking reflective and practical questions is an essential tool during this time of pause. These questions become the lens through which we view our options, breaking down complexity into manageable parts. For example, asking what will this decision look like 5 years from now shifts our thinking from short-term gains to long-term consequences. Asking what am I afraid of helps uncover hidden fears that may be distorting our judgment. Reflective questions reveal our emotional landscape, while practical questions bring logic into the fold. They open the door to self-awareness and ground it. Ways obscure this approach. Often we fail to recognize that avoiding a decision is still making one, just in an indirect and passive way. Many people fall into the trap of inaction, believing that not choosing protects them from mistakes. But in truth, silence or hesitation can allow the situation to spiral or be decided by external forces beyond our control. Indecision creates a void, and life has a way of filling that void in ways we may not anticipate or desire. Whether it's a career opportunity we delay pursuing or a relationship issue we ignore, the result is the same. Time moves on, and the cost of inaction grows. Rather than staying safe, we may end up feeling stuck. Recognizing this truth empowers us to take agency over our choices. Even if the path is uncertain, it reminds us that courage lies not just in choosing boldly, but in choosing at all. Even when we do our best, take time, ask questions, reflect, and decide intentionally, we can still make mistakes. And that's okay. Mistakes are not signs of failure, they are powerful teachers. Every wrong turn we take holds a lesson that sharpens our understanding, deepens our perspective, and prepares us for future decisions. Fear of failure often paralyzes people from taking action, but the reality is that nobody reaches growth without error. It is through trying, falling, and learning that we develop real wisdom. Regret can be a painful feeling, but it also signals that we care, that we're thinking critically, and that we have the capacity to improve. By embracing our missteps as part of the learning journey, we become more resilient and adaptable. The goal isn't to avoid all wrong choices, it's to grow stronger and more insightful through each one we make. One of the most effective ways to make meaningful decisions is to ensure they are grounded in our values and align with our long-term goals. My actor, my emotion, even when existential situations change. They are two different, foreign law and autonomy. And at autonomy. Exclusive, 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 exclusive. Whether it's choosing a career, forming relationships, or deciding how to spend our time, our decisions carry greater depth and purpose when they reflect what truly matters to us. Similarly, when we keep our long-term goals in focus, we avoid the trap of short-term gratification. A decision that seems easy or attractive now may derail us from a future we deeply desire. Aligning decisions with our core beliefs and ambitions allows us to live with greater integrity and intentionality. Another powerful habit in decision-making is learning to slow down the process. The world we live in is fast, noisy, and often demands instant action. Yet the most important decisions in life are rarely urgent in the way they seem. Pausing to reflect gives us the opportunity to examine all aspects of a situation without being clouded by stress or pressure. When we rush, we tend to focus only on surface-level options, often missing out on deeper considerations that could drastically change the outcome. Slowing down gives our thoughts room to mature and our emotions time to stabilize. This space fosters insight, patience, and clarity, all of which are essential in making thoughtful decisions. Taking time doesn't mean procrastinating. It means being deliberate and giving the decision the attention it deserves. As we slow down and connect with our values, asking the right questions becomes a vital part of the decision-making process. These questions serve as a mirror, revealing our motives, hesitations, and reasoning. Asking ourselves questions like, is this decision moving me toward the person I want to become? Or what are the risks, and am I willing to accept them? Opens up deeper self-awareness. Reflective questions help uncover emotional triggers, while practical questions help assess feasibility, timing, and consequences. They sharpen our critical thinking and prepare us for both best and worst case scenarios. Decision-making becomes less about reacting and more about responding with clarity. In essence, the more thoughtful our questions, the more confident we become in our ability to choose wisely. Despite all efforts to be careful and intentional, we can still struggle with fear, especially the fear of making the wrong choice. This fear often manifests as indecision or avoidance, where we convince ourselves that not deciding is safer than committing. But in truth, avoiding a decision is still a decision. It's a choice to let time, circumstances, or others decide for us. Often, the consequences of inaction are greater than those of a wrong decision because they involve missed opportunities and prolonged uncertainty. Even when we do choose and later realize we made a mistake, that mistake becomes part of our learning. Every flawed decision teaches us something valuable about ourselves, our world, and our judgment. Growth doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from facing it, learning from it, and using it to make better decisions in the future. Not every decision we make carries the same level of impact or consequence. And understanding this difference is crucial in becoming a more effective decision maker. Minor, everyday choices like what to wear or what to eat typically don't require deep thought, while major life decisions, such as choosing a career, starting a family, or moving to a different city, demand greater introspection and planning. When people treat all decisions as equally important, they risk exhausting their mental energy on trivial matters and having less clarity when it truly matters. Recognizing the weight of a decision helps us determine how much time, energy, and research to invest in it. By distinguishing between low-stakes and high-stakes decisions, we become more efficient and intentional in how we use our cognitive resources. This prioritization allows us to focus our attention on the choices that truly shape our lives and future. We know when we encounter important decisions, it is essential to ground them in our personal values and long-term vision. Our values reflect what we stand for: honesty, ambition, compassion, integrity, and act as guiding principles when we are faced with uncertainty. Without this internal compass, we may find ourselves influenced by temporary emotions, peer pressure, or superficial gain. Similarly, long-term goals provide direction. They act as a roadmap, helping us determine whether a current choice will bring us closer to or further from our ideal future. When we make decisions based on our values and goals, we tend to feel more satisfied and less conflicted, even if the path is difficult. It allows us to live in alignment with who we are and what we aspire to become. In a world filled with distractions and conflicting opinions, anchoring ourselves in what truly matters brings clarity to even the most confusing crossroads. Once we have identified a decision as important and connected it to our values and vision, it's vital not to rush the process. Quick, emotionally charged choices often lead to regret. Taking time gives us the opportunity to observe a situation from different angles, weigh alternatives, and consult our inner voice. During this time, asking reflective and practical questions is immensely helpful. Questions such as, what is motivating this choice? What are the short and long-term consequences? Allow us to examine both the emotional and logical sides of the decision. Reflective questions encourage self-awareness and help clarify our intentions. while practical ones offer structure and realism. This dual questioning approach ensures that we are not just making decisions that feel good in the moment, but those that also make sense in the larger context of our lives. However, despite all preparation, fear can still hold us back from making a decision at all. Avoiding a decision due to uncertainty, fear of judgment, or fear of failure is a common trap. Yet it is important to understand that not deciding is itself a decision. It often results in lost opportunities, unintentional consequences, and feelings of powerlessness. Taking responsibility and choosing, even in discomfort, is a powerful act of growth. And if that decision turns out to be flawed, it should not be seen as a failure, but as part of the learning process. Mistakes are inevitable. No one has perfect foresight. But each misstep teaches us something new, helping refine our judgment, increase our resilience, and sharpen our intuition for future decisions. The goal is not to be infallible, but to grow wiser and more self-certain with each choice we make, whether it leads to success or teaches us through experience. Decision making is not a one-time act, but a continuous process that unfolds throughout our lives. From the smallest choices, like what to eat or when to rest, to more significant ones involving our future and relationships. Decision making is ever present. It begins in childhood, when we start understanding the consequences of our actions, and it matures over time as our experiences deepen. With every phase of life, the nature of our decisions shifts, and so must our approach to making them. Recognizing that decision making is a lifelong journey allows us to treat it like a skill that can be improved with awareness and practice. Just like physical strength is built through repetition and training, our ability to make thoughtful, confident decisions strengthens as we consistently reflect, learn, and adapt. Yet within this daily rhythm of decision making, it's crucial to remember that not all decisions carry equal weight. Some are routine, requiring minimal reflection, while others demand significant thought due to their long-term implications. The danger lies in either overthinking minor choices or underestimating major ones. For instance, the decision to spend impulsively may seem harmless in the moment, but can create long-term financial strain. On the other hand, choosing a life partner, career path, or personal philosophy requires deeper introspection. Understanding the scale and scope of a decision helps determine how much time and energy it deserves. When we learn to differentiate between low-stakes and high-stakes decisions, we can conserve mental energy and direct it where it matters most, toward the choices that shape our identity, values, and future. The most grounded decisions are those aligned with our values and long-term goals. When we are clear about what we stand for and where we hope to go, our choices become more intentional. This alignment acts as a filter, helping us determine which options resonate with our deeper sense of purpose. However, even when we have clarity, we must avoid making hasty choices. Taking time to reflect allows us to gain perspective, calm heightened emotions, and examine a situation more rationally. Within this pause, asking reflective and practical questions plays a critical role. Questions such as, what would my future self think of this decision? Or, is this a short-term solution to a long-term issue? Create the mental space to think wisely. This inquiry brings together both emotional insight and logical reasoning, forming a foundation for choices that are balanced and thoughtful rather than reactive or impulsive. Even with deep thought and alignment, fear often creeps in and pushes us toward indecision. It's natural to worry about making mistakes or being judged, but we must remember that avoiding a decision is still making one, only passively. Allowing uncertainty to delay our choices can result in missed opportunities and a growing sense of powerlessness. Taking responsibility even for difficult or uncertain outcomes builds resilience and maturity. And if the decision we make leads to a mistake, that too has value. Mistakes are not the opposite of good decision making. They are part of it. Each misstep teaches us something critical about timing, motives, strategy, or emotion. These lessons become stepping stones toward better decisions in the future. Over time, we realize that our wisdom doesn't come from always being right. It comes from daring to choose, learning from the outcome, and having the courage to try again with greater insight. In the end, decision making is not about always choosing perfectly. It's about choosing with intention, awareness, and courage. Each decision, whether big or small, is a reflection of our growth, our values, and our willingness to take responsibility for our path. By understanding the weight of our choices, aligning them with our long-term vision, taking time to reflect, asking meaningful questions, and embracing both action and error, we empower ourselves to live more consciously and purposefully. Remember, the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your decisions. So choose wisely, learn deeply, and move forward boldly.